everybody. Welcome to ABA Inside Track, the podcast that's like reading in your car, but safer. I'm your host, Robert Perry Cruz, and with me, as always, are my fabulous co-hosts.
Hi, it's me, Diana Perry Cruz. Jackie is not here today.
No.
She had to be away.
Yes. She had a whirlwind adventure, and it's only just begun. Maybe she will tell you about it at our next preview. But for now, yes, she had to be away, so we are recording our May 2025 preview to show everyone, or tell everyone, I should say, what's going on in ABA Inside Track this coming month. Most of the time, we're a behavior analytic podcast where we talk about behavior analytic topics, behavior analytic research, but we do something a little different at the beginning of the month on the free feed or the end of the month for our patrons, where we give you a little preview of what's coming up if you want to read ahead. So we have May, so that's the beginning of spring for us, though you might not know it if you're in New England right now when we're recording this. But we have some book club episodes from last year coming up, as well as some other episodes and some special guests joining us. So let's kick it off by reviewing what we'll be talking about in the coming weeks.
All right. May is a little bit funny because even though it has 31 days, it's only going to have 4 Wednesdays, and it just barely squeaks in the 4. It's a little bit unusual. In addition, one of the weeks will be a release of our last year's book club, which is titled Activity Schedules, and I'm looking right now for like the full title of the book. Do you remember exactly?
These are called Picture Activity Schedules.
Picture Activity Schedules by McClannahan and Krantz. Remember that? It was like a whole year ago, so it's like hard for us to remember when we recorded this, but it is a very useful episode, I think. We review this really useful book. If you're trying to teach picture schedules, this is a great go-to resource. It reviews a lot of different ins and outs of the varying components of teaching a schedule and ensuring that you're doing so with efficacy and efficiency. So that happened last year, but it's now being released on the free feed to everybody, so you can look forward to hearing that in the very first episode of May, coming out after the preview, which is we're recording right now.
Yeah, but Diana, what should people do if they say, ooh, I want 2 CEs for listening to that whole episode, but I'd like to pay almost nothing for them?
They should go back in time and have been a patron a year ago.
Well, they could actually, spoiler alert, you could be a patron right now. And the book club CE discount still applies.
That's true.
So don't feel bad. Don't feel like you missed out a year ago.
No, because you can jump into that stream at any time, and you not only get the upcoming episodes, you get all the back catalog of those past episodes. So it's all the book clubs are free, and then all the listener choice episodes are free. So that amounts to like 12 CEs, I think, at least a year. Right, Rob?
Yes.
My math is not mathin', but I think that's right.
Yes.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of CEs.
We think it's a pretty good value. You get everything early. You can get discounts on other CE purchases. So kind of it's a nice way to sort of, give us a little extra support and to, get some extra kind of professional benefits just from kind of being a part of it. And, we love interacting with people, message us or, we try to interact with everyone, certainly who emails us, but it's kind of nice when you get little messages on the Patreon page. So it's a little extra, but again, if you're interested, you'll be able to hear that book club. You'll be able to hear a preview for the next one. And if they strike your fancy, or if you want to have a vote in the upcoming book club polls we'll be doing, then, well, just patreon.com/ABA Inside Track. Well, that's one thing, but we've still got other Wednesdays coming up, Diana. So what's coming in those Wednesdays?
Yes, so 2 other Wednesdays are happening in May. The next episode to come out after that one is titled Pictorial and Video-Based Preference Assessments. So you have that to look forward to. We review 3 articles in that episode, and I'll tell you what they are now. An evaluation of a brief video-based multiple stimulus without replacement preference assessment by Broadhead, Aldebayan, Mates, Abel, and Browers, and that was in Behavior Analysis and Practice 2016. Assessing the Efficacy of Pictorial Preference Assessments for Children with Developmental Disabilities by Heinicke, Carr, Pence, Zias, Valentino, and Falligant. And that was in JABA 2016. And finally, an investigation of a video-based preference assessment of social interactions by Wolf, Kunavatana, and Shoemaker, and that was in Behavior Modification 2018. So we got that. That's happening. And then after that, we're very lucky to get John Staubitz on the show to talk with us. He will be discussing practicing within the school context. And, behind the scenes, we've already recorded this episode. It was great. Rob and John had tons of overlapping background and experience and stories to review with one another about practicing within the school context. So that was pretty exciting, and he was an awesome guest to have on the show. There are several articles that contributed toward that conversation, and I'll tell you what those are now as well. Actually, not that one first, because that doesn't make any sense. Let's do this one. Applied Behavior Analysis, Students with Autism and the Requirements to Provide a Free and Appropriate Public Education by Stevenson and Correa, and that was in the Journal of Disability Policy Studies 2019. Following that, Still Left Behind, How Behavior Analysts Can Improve Children's Access, Equity, and Inclusion to Their Entitled Education by Stevenson, Bethune, and Gardner, and that was in Behavior Analysis in Practice 2024, hot off the presses. And then we just briefly touched on these other two articles. We're actually planning another episode where we review one of those in more depth coming up as well. And these were Navigating Collaboration, Factors Influencing Special Education Teachers' Relationships with BCBAs in Diverse School Contexts by Squires, Coutre-Paraga, Morris, Ellsworth, Miller, and Hansen. And that was in BAP 2024. And finally, Preparation of Behavior Analysts for School-Based Practice by Copeland, Duffy, and Mayes. And that was in BAP 2025. Say what? Hot off the presses. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's what happened in May. That's what's coming up.
Beautiful. Well, now that we know what's coming out in May, let's...
What?
You got to make it a face. I was like, did I forget something on the show?
No.
Okay. So let's move into the errata section, which would be a great place to find out things that we might have missed on the show. The errata section, where we sort of talk about other things related to the show, as well as sometimes read some comments or emails. And Diana, forgive me my boldness. I didn't plan this with you ahead of time, but there is a topic I want to talk a little bit about that we don't often talk about on the show because it is not one of Jackie's favorites, and that is games. I want to talk about games for a little bit. Specifically, okay. I want to talk about a very cool kind of online class that I've been doing thanks to Brian Middleton, the bearded behaviorist. He's been on the show a few times.
Yeah.
He has the Behave podcast, but he had suggested that we and a couple other behavior analysts try out a very interesting, I wasn't quite sure what it was at first, but it's a therapeutic game mastering. So we're doing a course together on that right now in which we use evidence-based therapies and practices. So specifically in our field, it would be things like CBT or ACT and then sort of have this wrapper of tabletop role-playing games. So, Dungeons and Dragons, or, I'm looking at my wall of some Vicen, which is a Swedish role-playing game, a horror game. So any of those, role-playing games you might know of.
What was the one we played where you were like on the prairie?
Wanderhome?
No. Sorry, not Wander. That one was not my favorite.
No.
No, it was like you were solving a mystery, like a murder mystery on the prairie.
A murder mystery on the prairie?
No, maybe it's not a murder mystery. It's like the old-timey family. Oh, okay.
Was it Desperation?
Probably, yeah.
That was a fun one where it is like a kind of card-based, so you're a collaborative storytelling role-playing game where it's the winter and it's sort of like the post-Civil War, and you're out in the plains, and you don't know who's going to survive the winter, and you have all these characters and connections. That was a fun one. Yeah, that's a quicker one. Yes, but in any case, it's the idea of using that as sort of more of an interesting way to engage groups with a therapeutic process. So for me, since I'm not, I have some knowledge of ACT. We've talked about it on the show. I've done some of my own research on it, some professional development on it, but not really my area of expertise yet. Looking into it more, I think it's a fascinating subject, but really thinking about how we do social skills training, because so much of social skills needs to be role played anyway. So why not make it part of a game, gamify it a little bit more? So I'm very excited as we continue on with this course through Geek Therapeutics is where we're doing the course. So I'll let you all know how it goes when we're all done with it. We're about getting to the halfway point of it, but it's been very interesting to get to sort of talk with other behavior analysts about the subject and a chance to use something that is just kind of fun. We dabble in it here in the house to kind of explore ways to do evidence-based therapy as well. So very excited. But yeah, again, I'll let everyone know a little bit more about it when it's done. But I know Jackie doesn't, the last time we had an RPG party at the house, Jackie was kind enough to join, but it was her husband who actually played the game most of it. She was nearby though.
It's all right. We all have different interests.
That's right. We all have different interests. Diana, shockingly, you might think, oh, does Diana love the really artsy role-playing games where you make a story about a magical world? Because, she's such a creative type. And I would have to say no. Weirdly enough, she only likes the RPGs in which the goal is to murder as many other creatures as possible and steal their treasure. She's a big fan of that.
That's right. Don't like goblins and don't like orcs.
She'll fight them.
Fight them.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun thing. We like to do a lot of games. I think at one point we even thought about how could we tie that in to behavior analysis. And, there are some behaviors around game playing, I think, that might be interesting to explore.
Well, if you want to know more about that, you should go back and read Morford et al. 2014, because that is the article that breaks down the behavioral principles involved in game playing and game making.
How have we not done that?
We did.
Did we?
Yeah. Back in episode 76, gamification.
Oh, okay, 70s. Oh, gamification. Okay, specifically gamification piece. Gotcha. And you've published on the subject as well.
Yeah.
So you're the game master here.
Yeah. But Zach Morford wrote in way back in the day to say thanks for talking about his article and to probably correct us on a few things that we maybe didn't get exactly right. So thanks, Zach.
So that's kind of a fun thing going on over here in the studio. Where we record is where I go to those online classes. And do some online RPGing with it.
Yeah, this room doubles as our game room. In case anyone hasn't noticed, when you see videos, all the games are in the background.
Yes.
So we have multiple varied interests. We're extremely well-rounded people.
Oh yes, very much so. Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you a few emails if you
I'd
want
love to hear some emails.
To follow up on that. Yeah, for sure. So let me see. One email that we got was from listener Katie. Hi, Katie. She wrote in to ask more about our episode that we did, episode 305, on ableism and the medical model. Mm-hmm. And I really bring this up because I thought her questions were great. And honestly, I don't have full answers to them. So she's asking, she loves the idea of writing goals that are going to support neurodiversity and be neurodiversity affirming. But then she had additional questions about how that may potentially interact with needing to write goals that are going to be approved by the billing and insurance companies and or potential restrictions with respect to how those may integrate into an IEP or when collaborating with other professions. And these are, I don't fully have an answer to that because it's just a little bit outside of my own personal area, but I would also love to find out more. So Katie, thank you for writing in. And I think this would be a fantastic topic for us to review in the future. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to write it down for that reason. Lots of times people will write in with suggestions on episodes. So I also just wanted to highlight that that's something that you can do. And we'll keep a running log and list of those. So sorry, Katie, I don't have exact the answer for you because I think this is a question a lot of people have right now. And maybe we can do some digging, get someone who does know what they're talking about to help us out in answering that.
Mm. I think when it comes to something like how does some of the goals relate to, say, IEPs, a lot of times you sort of have to take a look at your state standards, and usually I can't speak for every state. I really only know Massachusetts, kind of systems, but usually there's some amount of spiraling downward that is suggested. So they have suggestions of how you can take some, certain goals that are related to the state standards and make them kind of either more meaningful or make them tied into some of the topics we discussed. So that's certainly, I'm sure Katie, you already thought of that one, but sometimes that's a good place to go if you just sort of need to generate some more creative ideas rather than just feeling like you're in a vacuum just trying to make up good goals. So you can always go to that as a source, as sort of a starting point.
Good. Thank you.
Insurance billing, no idea.
Yeah. Okay. And let me see. Occasionally we have people write in and saying they can't find the code words in the episode. So I know that can happen sometimes because you're listening and we're talking and it's a lot of talking. So if you are like listening in your car or something and you missed the code word, you can always go to our website and every episode has its own page. You can either search via Google for it or you can navigate through the website to get to it. And on the top of that episode page, there'll be a podcast player and you can listen on the web as well in case you haven't ever listened in that format. In case you missed the code word and need to go back and locate it, you can do so probably more easily in that format. If you cannot find the code word, that's okay as well. What you can do is write me a little blurb summary of the part of the episode that you didn't find the code word for. Like maybe you found one but not the other. And then you can write saying, hey, never could locate the other code word, although I do promise you they are in there, but sometimes it's hard to find. So never could find it. Here's the part of the episode that I did 100% listen to. Here it is summarized. And then when you like submit on the website with your code word, you can just put see email for summary for the missed code word, and I will remember that, and I will put the two together and then approve your CE so they get sent to you. So I do troubleshoot and help people find that information sometimes. And finally, just wanted to note that we had a patron, Bethany, who commented on the Patreon page, put a bird on it. So if you listen to our last, I think maybe our last preview episode, when did we talk about putting a bird on it recently?
It was, hold on, I can find it. If you want to just quickly describe the reference for folks, I can find where the post is from.
Sometimes you got to gussy something up by putting a bird on it. I'm not going to say anything more.
Token economies.
Oh, okay. It was when we just talked about token economies, which was also not very long ago. Was that episode 304?
It's 307. So Bethany got that one
because she's a
fresh
patron.
out of the release.
I was going to say, like, how did she even
that's not even freely available at the time we're recording this. Coming on Wednesday.
Gosh. Oh yeah. So look at her. Well, by the time people hear this, it will be out. So
if you want to have fun comments that you can write before everyone else has even heard the episode, the Patreon, that's the place to be, I suppose.
So thank you, Bethany. That made all of us smile. Thank you for writing in.
Yeah. I called out to Diana. Somebody put a bird on it. Bethany wrote that.
Put a bird on it. Okay.
Diana got a nice laugh in the other room.
And that's all I got.
That's all you got? Great. Well, I think that's all we have right now for the preview episode. May's kind of a short month. We have some things coming up, and then we're going to have all the fun of summer right after that. So kind of May's just a lot of us getting prepared for everything in the summer, making sure that we have episodes lined up week to week to week so that you can listen on the beach or wherever you want to listen to podcasts this summer. But that'll be it for us now. We'll be back next week with that Unlocked Book Club. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can check us out at abainsidetrack.com or patreon.com/abainsidetrack. If you want to get some free CEs for that book club, just join up there at the $10 and up level, as well as then getting access to next month's full polls. We got 2 polls coming out this June for Listener Choice Summer and for Book Club for the next whole year. So very exciting time. But in the meanwhile, keep responding. Bye.
Bye.